So there is a very strong rumor right now that Microsoft is teaming up with Razer to finally add keyboard and mouse support to the Xbox One. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see what that means, not just for the Xbox, but also what it means for the next box, codenamed Scarlet as well. So let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, so over the weekend, June 23rd, 2018 to be exact, a website called Windows Central decided to release an article talking about a leaked presentation that Microsoft gave to developers detailing keyboard and mouse support for the Xbox One. And to kick off this initiative, it looks like Microsoft is actually teaming up with Razer to make keyboard and mice that are compatible with the Xbox One. Razer is apparently planning to allow developers to tap into its API to bring its lighting effects into its games. So if this all works out like they're planning it to, it looks like Xbox users will be able to get this support added into their games later this year with the fall update for the Xbox. The chroma lighting is used in PC versions of games like Overwatch and Dota 2 and can provide really important visual cues like cooldowns and stuff like that, which really help you, get a little bit of extra edge in your game. The presentation also included some rules and guidance from Microsoft to developers on implementation of mouse and keyboard support. So controller support is still a requirement for all Xbox games, but for keyboard and mouse you can only have one per console, so one keyboard and one mouse. And unlike controllers, obviously you can have several. They've also included guidelines for mouse features like support for up to 5 buttons, wheel movement, and the ability to see absolute pointer location and relative pointer movement, which I would basically equate to DPI or mouse acceleration. Someone please leave me a comment below if I'm wrong. I would love to learn more about this type of stuff. Now on to probably the most important part about the impact of all of this: multiplayer balance and support. They do say right off the bat that it is entirely up to the developers on how they want to use mouse and keyboard support, but they follow that up by saying that the presence of keyboard and mouse can be detected within a game, meaning that the developer could potentially lock players to specific playlists based on whether they're on mouse and keyboard or using a controller, a lot like how Fortnite does it now. They then go on to say that keyboard and mouse versus gamepad should be monitored throughout gameplay and adjustments should be made accordingly. And then they also highly suggest that the use of mouse and keyboard should be used in separate matchmaking rules. In my opinion, this is all extremely fair. This encourages crossplay between PC and console players, while also acknowledging that yes, there is probably going to be a skill gap, but it is up to the developers to kind of make sure that that gap isn't that wide and to try to make sure that their game is balanced enough that everybody can have fun. There's lots of people that are easily saying, but PC players will easily decimate those console players, and most of the time you would be right, but with the rise of Fortnite, we're starting to see that console players, if they are good enough, can keep up with PC players. Maybe not the best of the best, maybe not, the absolute top of the top, depending on the game, but there are console players that can easily hold their own if we're going to be using Fortnite as an example. If you wanted to compare PUBG, Xbox versus PC, well, that's probably a different case because, PUBG isn't even a functioning game on the Xbox right now. And I entirely want to note that that's entirely at the fault of Bluehole, not at the fault of Microsoft. If Microsoft is at fault for anything, it's for maybe jumping the gun a little bit too early and making PUBG a Xbox exclusive and using it as a console seller. And to round out the presentation, they noted that all USB mice supported by Windows would be available on Xbox, including mice with wireless dongles. However, this list would exclude mice with custom drivers or Bluetooth reliance. And in a very interesting note, they also discussed unauthorized peripherals which emulate controller behavior. This basically means that peripherals like Zim, Titan 2, and Cronus Max are probably going to be on their way out, because in response, Microsoft is going to introduce a new API that developers can use to detect and potentially block mouse and keyboard accessories that are used to mimic controller inputs unfairly. This will make sure that those tryhards that are using those type of devices devices to kind of, get an edge on the competition can actually just use a mouse and keyboard and play with the rest of the big boys. So with all that being said, it looks like that the fall update for Xbox is going to be huge, and it's going to basically roll into the fact that Microsoft is really thinking about the next generation of games and how we're basically moving away from the traditional console as we know it. I really wouldn't be surprised if the next version of Xbox almost ends up like Steambox, except actually done well and actually has a good company with support behind it. Now, in absolute fairness, PlayStation 4 does already support mouse and keyboard, but the list is literally like 5 games deep. We have Final Fantasy XIV, War Thunder, Elder Scrolls Online, which is keyboard only, Neverwinter keyboard only, DC Universe Online, only keyboard, and Paragon doesn't exist anymore, so bye-bye to that one. So while Sony also provides, mouse and keyboard support for its games, it doesn't provide the type of support to encourage this type of crossplay, unlike its competitor Microsoft. And as we know, Sony is having a little bit of trouble right now in terms of sharing. Now, just for fun, let's go ahead and bring in another rumor about the next box that's been floating around. And that's the one that Codename Scarlet, which is the code name for the next Xbox, doesn't mean a single device, but a whole family of devices. I would almost equate it to, I don't know, the Kindle Fire family line. This rumor is under the basis that it suggested that Microsoft is going for a broader strategy for the next generation that is actually trying to be proactive about the fast moving and fast changing nature of what used to be our gaming center, the living room. Now, there's been little to no info in regards to what this actually means and what type of devices we could see here, but I mean, let's have a little bit of fun here. This is what I'm imagining in my head. One day, you're going to be able to go either online or go to a brick and mortar store, and you're going to either buy a Microsoft branded TV or say something like a Samsung or an LG TV with Microsoft or Xbox technology inside. This means that you'll basically buy a TV with the console inside it. It'll be already built in there, and you know what? If you end up buying a 65-inch 4K full HDR TV, it'll be able to have the technology inside to have an Xbox that can basically use that to the maximum potential. And that way you know that you're getting a console that'll make that TV absolutely worth it. And on top of that, with scaling resolution and things like that, you can have different types of TVs on different types of budgets. You can have controller support, you can have keyboard and mouse support, and with Microsoft's accessibility pad for handicapped gamers, you can even have support for them as well, where they can just plug in or wirelessly use their gamepad and they can still play games as well on their awesome, amazing television. It's a little bit lofty, it's a little bit optimistic, it's all sunshine and rainbows type of future, but that's what this channel's all about. I'm very optimistic about the future of gaming, and these are the reasons why, because Microsoft is starting to get its head out of its ass, and they are thinking forward. They are thinking about the future. They are trying to be innovative again, and they are trying to actually think about what life is going to be like in the future, and they're reacting to that as opposed to trying to play catch up. They are learning from their mistakes that they made over the course of this generation, and I say that they learned from their mistakes. They learned from their hubris, while Sony is just now starting to realize that maybe their head is a little bit too big. Even the whole idea of the next generation Xbox being more heavily focused on streaming and that type of technology, on paper, yes, it sounds like a great idea, but obviously we would have to have infrastructure and all that other type of stuff updated in order to make that dream a reality. But still, that shows that Microsoft is thinking forward, and they're not only thinking as a gaming company, but they're also thinking as a technology company. And that is probably one of the best ways that not only consoles, but gaming can move forward. We have Netflix teaming up with Telltale Games to work on a Stranger Things game. And there are apparently even rumors of Minecraft Story Mode having an interactive version coming to Netflix as well. From the perspective of someone who would make hardware, that would be the type of forward thinking that I would be worried about. How is entertainment gonna basically mesh itself within the next 5 to 10 years? And what can I do and what can I make to make sure that I am there and ready once that technology is also ready? And as I said before in my E3 video, Microsoft is definitely on that path. They're thinking about the next generation, and you know what? They may already be halfway through the next generation in terms of planning, and that's great. I'm honestly excited to see how Sony's gonna respond to all this, because it looks like Sony's gonna have to be playing catch up next generation. And as great a games as we had during the PlayStation 4, that's fine with me.
Alright guys, so there you have it. That's just kind of my little analysis about what this partnership with Razer means for Xbox going forward. Like I said, I am so optimistic and so excited to see what Xbox is going to come up with and how Sony's going to respond, because Xbox has pretty much made it absolutely clear that they are thinking forward. They're not really in this current gen race anymore. They've already started on next gen, so it's gonna be good. I'm really excited to see what's coming up next. Let me know what you guys think. Am I completely off base? Do I have, pretty good foundation? Am I gonna be right here in a couple of years? We'll find out. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Smash everything, man. The bell, subscribe button, the like button, smash till you die. Just smash all day. You'll find me on Twitch too, depending on what time this goes up. I might be streaming on Twitch, so if you end up seeing it, you want to come chat with me about the video, just stop by. Links should be here, and yeah, we'll see what comes up next. I have a couple things I'm working on simultaneously, but I have no free time. So anyways, once again, thank you for making it this far. I love doing this for you guys. We're getting closer to 50. I'm so excited to hit 50 subs. As dumb as that sounds, I'm pretty hyped. So thank you for the support so far, guys, and I'll talk to you in a bit. Peace.